Welcome to the Retreat Leaders Podcast, the show for visionary coaches, healers, wellness pros, and small business owners who aren't just here to host another feel-good getaway, but to build a profitable, impactful retreat business. I'm your host, Shannon Jamel, retreat strategist, business mentor, and owner of a 46-acre retreat center. I've hosted over 100 retreats around the world, and I've made every mistake so you don't have to. Each week, we'll dive into the mindset, marketing, money, business, and mechanics behind sold-out, profitable retreats. Plus, hear from expert guests who are walking the talk. Whether you're planning your first retreat or scaling your 100th, you're in the right place. Welcome to the show. Hey guys, welcome back to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. It's Shannon, and today I have a fellow venue owner on the podcast as a guest. I'm so excited to talk to her because we have so many similarities in so many ways. Amity, I don't even know if you realize some of the ways that we are aligned, but welcome Amity Cooper to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Shannon. I'm really excited to dive into this conversation. We do have so much in common. I feel like we're soul sisters here.
I know. So Amity, I'm going to say a little thing, but then I want you to really dive into who you are and what you do. But Amity is also a mental health practitioner. She has a ranch, but also partners with another ranch that offers horses as part of their programs. And I mean, I was just looking at your stuff like, oh my gosh, we're so aligned. But why don't you just take a moment to tell the audience who you are and what you do and what brought you to where you are now?
Oh, thank you so much. Yes. Gosh, I've been a mental health professional for the last 10 years at this point, and I really stumbled into ranch life um, about 2 years ago. And I have come to this point after spending 20 years in the business world, and I realized I had a moment of crisis and wanted to do something more internally, purposefully driven. And hence, that meant for me getting my hands dirty and buying a property here in Colorado. And then I doubled my problems by purchasing my neighbor's property just in the beginning of this year. And so I went from 40 acres to 80 acres, and I'm trying to do all things all at once while providing and creating an environment so that other practitioners and individuals can come out and experience the beauty and the power of nature, especially next to 1,000-pound animals such as a horse. And so that's what's led me to this point at this time.
Oh my
And
goodness. I love it. And I'm very impressed that you bought the neighbor's property to continue it and to grow it, because once we started working on our ranch and we opened, the thought of doubling down right now makes my head spin. So kudos to you for doing that. And both of your ranches look amazing. Obviously, they will be linked in the show notes, and I can't wait to share your ranches because you know that I believe in the power of horses and the power of retreat and the power of using nature as well. And so that's all just so beautiful. One of the things that Amity and I were chatting about briefly before we hit record was, since we're coming from the perspective of both venue owners as well as hosts ourselves, is really just asking yourself the question, is hosting retreats right for you? Because obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, you're either considering it or you're knee deep in it, or you're trying to figure this shit out. Like, how can I make this work as a business as well as a tool for doing good works in the world? And so, Amity, give me some of your thoughts, your perspective as far as what people should start thinking about, or questions they should ask themselves, or what does it even look like when they start thinking about should they do retreats?
yeah, and I think I'd like to just preface this because in my clinical work, so much of what I talk about with my clients is like figuring out where they're starting from, identifying that North Star that's going to direct them forward and into the future, and keeping an eye on the prize here. And a lot of times people just, like they're trading time for dollars, or they're trying to figure out ways in which they can expand their reach and have greater impact in the world. But it kind of starts a little bit before that, like you don't want to put the cart before the horse here. So a lot of the questions that you might be rumbling with are just like, what kind of lifestyle do I want to lead? I mean, for many of us, it's like we want to move beyond that 40-hour, 50-hour work week. We want to travel the world. We want to have and live experiences, be in the present moment, live joyfully with wealth, whatever abundance that looks like. And so when you start to sort of tease apart what those end goals are, then you can start to label and identify the means in which you're going to accomplish them. So for me, I've always known and sort of leaned into the fact that I feel truly like a world citizen, and I have traveled extensively. And even after I got married and had children, it was like my children and my husband fit into my life and how I wanted to live and show up in the world. So as I sort of grew my business and my practice, I always knew that running retreats and offering experiences to be up close and personal with me as a thought leader, as an expert and an authority in the space, was going to be really appealing to my clients and to the guests that came in contact with me. So I always knew that using retreats was a means to an end, and it would get me farther along than and set me apart from my competitors.
Hey guys, I'm cutting in real quick to ask a favor. Will you please share this show with someone who you think could benefit from it? That really helps us to get amazing guests on the show. Also, if you haven't already, subscribe and leave us a review, please. It really helps us to continue to grow for you. I love all of this. I think you've said some key things in here, and it's one, knowing your North Star, I've always said it's like knowing your why. What is the real reason why you want to host retreats? What's the underlying motivation? Like, what is that? And you'll need to know that. You'll need to know that not just because it's part of running a business, but also you're going to run into obstacles. As you're hosting retreats, you're going to run into obstacles, you're going to run into challenges. You're building a brand new business. If you're a coach right now, if you're a mental health professional, whatever you are, and you're adding retreats, this is another form of a business. It's almost like a mini business that you're adding onto your current offerings. And so you're going to run into things. And what helps you stay focused or coming back to your why, to the reason why you're doing this, is just really knowing that why, is coming back to that why, is what I mean. That helps you to stay focused during these challenging times. So I really love that, just the North Star, your why, and understanding that. And then realizing what is it really that you're accomplishing in the retreats? Because here's what I see, Amity, and I don't know if you see this a lot too, but I'm seeing people just throw shit together lately. They're just kind of throwing stuff together and they're like, let's just see if this works. To me, it doesn't look like a clear promise, a clear purpose. It just looks like they're kind of just throwing things out there. And I question that way of starting your retreat business. And they definitely are, a lot of them are new hosts. Some of them have maybe tried it a few times. And it doesn't feel like that there's a why there. Have you seen anything like that, either as a venue?
Very common. I think it's the hustle culture,
Mhm.
like you just throw it up and see what shit sticks. And hopefully you don't, muddy it all up. I think there's an element that will always be in any new business venture. It's like, I don't know what direction I'm going in, no matter how much I just have to try. Like progress is better than perfection, right?
Mhm.
So there's an element that you have to give yourself grace on that. But I think it does. I fully agree with you, Shannon. Like you need to go back and constantly recenter yourself and look at that plan that you're putting in place and have clear metrics and clear guidelines for yourself, non-negotiables, in fact, that really align and say, hey, like I know that I maybe thrive over here, but I'm not necessarily great on the logistics or whatever. Like Like I have the vision, I know what type of person I want to attract, but like the day-to-day operations, like are you just going to be the face of the property and the business, or are you actually doing the legwork? Are you the technician? Are you the retreat leader? Or you going to hire out for people? Like I can go on and on and on. But I think it comes back to you have a dance here, a two-step between implementation and vision, and you're always shuffling between the two, but you have to have systems in place that you can always have guardrails up and to move forward, right? To have those next steps, those next goals in place.
Yes, what I heard especially is have a plan. I
Yeah.
shared in my one of my Facebook groups, somebody had posted that they they literally had already posted a retreat, a date, a price. You could register for it, but now they were like, "How do I market it, and what do I do about XYZ?" And I'm like, those are questions that you have the answers for before you even accept a registration, before you even have your registration system done. Like the plan to me is so important. And that includes so many of the things that you mentioned, the logistics, the budget, the pricing, the marketing plan. It's an entire business plan. You should have an entire business plan for that retreat. Each retreat even would have a business plan. It just is tweaked, right? So you have your shell business plan that you put together. And here's why I say it this way, because Amity, I don't know if you see it with your venue, but when people contact me to rent out Retreat Ranch, I can tell almost immediately that they have no plan. I can tell by the questions they ask. I can tell by the questions they don't ask. I can tell by the information that is lacking when I ask questions. Like I can just tell in a 10, 15-minute conversation that they don't have a plan and they're just like
We're just,
guesswork.
yeah. Yeah. Hey, I have this idea. I'd like to see if some venue is available. They think that the venue comes before comes before the thought process of like what is the outcome that you're looking to achieve,
Yes.
and God bless them. I I want to book my venue out. I want that cash flow. I want that security, right? But there's always at least 10 people behind that initial person that can put the money down and book it, right? But the you are you are put in that situation to help guide that retreat leader, person that's interested in using your venue to help them succeed. And it is a partnership. Even if it's a short window of partnership, you're both wrapped up together. So you want to make sure that it's really clear on your end what you're providing, what your non-negotiables are. I keep going back to that. But you're like what you're as a business owner, your business become is first. Whatever is best for your business has to be front and center and focus so that you can talk reasonably and without criticism or judgment or whatever to that person that's calling in. So that's first and foremost, but it's also you have to provide the guidance and support, but you also have to ask the right questions, and you always have to have the answer in your mind about like, okay, where do I want this? You have to lead the prospect in effectively.
Yeah, I definitely, when I get the calls or we get the inquiries for the ranch, I've actually we've been open for 3 years now. In Especially in the last year, I've gotten a little bit more picky where I'm like, we're not just going to book this. We are going to sit down and figure this out if it's a good fit. Because one of the things, as you know, from being a venue owner is, we're a whole ranch rental. People
Yeah.
are not booking an entire ranch it, in a weekend. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to book it next weekend. It takes time, right? Our bookings are booked way in advance, which means we've held that spot for somebody way in advance. And we, as a team, I have families that depend on me. I can't afford for someone to cancel on me, at the 30-day mark or 45-day mark or even 2-month mark
Yeah.
because they didn't have a plan.
Yeah.
Right. And so I've become a lot more pickier with who is booking the ranch. Do they have a plan? Let me tell you, I am so impressed though, on the flip side, because I also have had many leaders who've come to me And the spreadsheets and the preparation, and they've sent if they're not local, they've sent friends to come tour the ranch and video. I mean, I have seen on the flip side such immense preparation and planning that I'm like, yes, all day, yes, and then some, right? So it just goes back to though that whole why. I think Amity is like, why do you want
Yes.
to host retreats? If your
Yeah.
why is powerful enough and you really know what that end result is going to be, you will put together a plan. If your why is that whole, let's see if the shit sticks, like I just want to go to Texas, or I just want to go to Colorado, or I just want to go to Costa Rica and I think it'd be fun to do this. Okay, well, to me, that's going to be painful all the way around. It's going to be painful in the process. It's probably going to be painful in your wallet. And so it's just going to be a little bit more of a painful play. Yes, I'm all about going for it. I am so about going for it. But when it comes to this, retreats, especially at such a sacred space, it requires a plan and preparation in order for it to be
Yes, it sure.
effective.
Yeah. And I so I guess it goes back to, I mean, we know as venue owners, right? Like what's required and what demands are put on us. But if you are that you're sitting on the fence and you have this idea like, hey, I would love to bring a group of women or men or wherever, like I have this vision of where I want to go. I don't know about you, but I start planning a year in advance. You
Yes.
know, I start putting all those nuggets and all those the I do. That's the time to start throwing stuff up and dreaming big, right? And then you have a system, you have a calendar to follow. And then when you get to that, I would say probably 9 months in to that, if you work backwards, that's when you start to reach out to us. I mean, as venue hosts, and you're starting to play around with that concept. And it has to fit into your business model. Maybe a retreat a year is perfect for you, but you don't know that until you start putting, pencil to paper. Or maybe it's every quarter, or you have a sort of a mashup of hybrid of offerings. I don't know. That's your job to figure that out. But I mean, that would be my suggestion. Any
Hey, retreat leaders, listen up. If you've been struggling to price your retreats, bill your retreats, or even start your retreat business, this is your moment. I'm hosting a one-day high-impact workshop in London on October 10th, designed to help you plan, price, market, and profit from transformational retreats. Whether you're just starting out or scaling to your next level, this room is where your clarity begins. And you want to be in rooms that actually level up your business. By the way, it's a total business write-off. What better way to visit London and write it off for business? Grab your spot now at retreatproworkshop.com or click the links in the show notes. I'll see you in London. Yeah,
uh,
no, I'm with you. Mine are a year, and my international ones are actually 2 years. I plan
I
them 2 years in
believe.
advance. And
Yeah.
so absolutely. And yeah, and you've got to have that plan. You've got to have that whole thing ready, and then you contact the venues. You might have an idea, right? You might have an idea. I want to do it in Texas. I want to do it in Colorado. I want to do it in Mexico, whatever. You might have an idea. And that's part of that beginning 1 year window, right? Where you're like, here's the idea of where I think this would be a great space to be.
Right.
As you're building up your plan, you're building up your budget, right? You're finding things out like that. And then you get to that part which would be between 9 to 12 months. It depends on the venue. So my key dates are booked a year in advance. Some of them are booked a year and a half in advance here. And so it depends on the venue. That's where you start making calls and figuring out like what windows are we looking at? What's your general pricing? Because that goes into your budgeting, right? And so, yeah, I'm totally on board with that, where it's at least a year that you start the planning process. And then the marketing, to me, has to start by the 6 month mark at the latest. That's just me for
Specifically to fill the retreat,
right,
right? But
right.
bringing in and doing all of that marketing and outreach to your potential end user retreat goer, that starts in the very like way before that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it can start before that, so long as you've got everything in place and your plans in place and you're ready to go. But I guess at the end of the day, what we're saying is don't throw things at the wall and hope it sticks.
Right. Right.
Have a why, your North Star, and have a plan. And if you don't know how to do those two things, or if you don't know how to do the second one, the first one, it's you, it's intrinsic. You have to know your why and your North Star. But if you don't know how to put together a plan, you're just not sure the logistics, all of those things, there's two options for you. Hire someone who does that can help you, or start working retreats. Go work at someone's retreat. Learn the ins and outs. Ask questions. I have a work exchange program. I have had many people come through my work exchange program who then have led retreats in the future because that's also a really good time for you to say, this isn't for me. I saw all the shit that Shannon and her team had to do on the retreat, and I don't think I want to work that hard, or that's heavier space than I want to hold. Whatever may be the case, I highly recommend that period. You should work a retreat before you start hosting retreats, and you,
I love that.
yeah,
That is
and you,
fantastic advice.
I love it. I really do, and I love it when they come through. And then, the other thing is you have better have been an attendee. I will say it drives me a little insane when it's like I ask retreat leaders who host retreats, well, when's the last time you went on retreat? And they're like, deer in the headlights. I'm like,
Personally, I don't do that for myself. I'm like, ooh,
yeah, no, you've got to be an attendee as well. And so yeah, so this is just some thoughts from some venue owners who have seen things come through as well as, we're hosts too. We both host retreats, and so these are just some food for thought as you're thinking about hosting retreats. But I would like to spend some time before we jump off here, Amity, for you to tell our listeners about your ranch and your offerings.
well, thanks. Yeah, so I feel a little bit like Green Acres, that TV show at times because I don't know what happened, but like I think I'm Eddie Haskell in that. Like I'm the gal that wears the overalls and whatever, and my husband by chance is Zsa Zsa Gabor in drag. You really kill me for saying that. But any of them, like this was my plan, this was my vision, and I sort of ran with it. And I had that North Star. So these sister properties are literally two doors away from one another. And the 1890 Ranch is a full equestrian operation. It's 40 acres of fenced pasture. I have all the accoutrements that come with that. I have yurts. I have a community yurt where I host all my yoga retreats and gatherings, small group gatherings. I have two barns, an indoor and outdoor arena. You name it, I have that there. And then at my sister property, the Wayfinding Ranch, is another 40 acres, but it's very different topographically because even though we're literally down a dirt road from one another, that sits in the Colorado Black Forest. So you have a different feel and experience. It's much more intimate. You often see the wildlife come out from the trees, and I have a beautiful home that I rent out and make that available for private exclusive events and parties and weddings. And then I have an outdoor pasture with an arena and a barn and additional outbuildings. So they complement each other on so many levels. But so whatever somebody is looking for to accomplish, I can go as high as 250 people on the 1890 ranch property, down to like the intimate setting that you offer at your place, which around like 40 people tops, and it just, oh gosh, I don't know, nature does the body good, and it feels like a world away. And I'm literally 50 minutes from Denver proper. So it's quite an experience and pleasurable. So
I love it. Well, you're speaking my language. Anytime you're talking nature and horses and gatherings, that's my language. So I will
yeah.
definitely have both of those ranches in the show notes so that you guys can check them out. I highly recommend it. The websites look amazing. I plan on sharing it with my community because I'm always looking for spaces that have horses as integration into the program. So, Amity, thank you so much for coming on here and just sharing some thoughts with folks about knowing their true North Star, as well as having a plan and being prepared so that they can have the most success possible, whether it's at one of our places or somewhere else. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. If you love this episode, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your retreat besties. Want more support? Grab free resources at the Retreat Leaders unpreparedplaybook.com. Until next time, lead boldly, serve deeply, and retreat profitably.